Come on.
Okay, it's time. It's that time again. It's FranchisOR Bust time. And Trevor is here in the house as always. And I couldn't do this without Katie. There she
That's right.
is. Once
Here,
again.
here to laugh at your jokes, and that's all.
That's all. No comment. Just giggles. And then today we're super excited to have with us straight out of Addison, Texas, Cade with DBAT. And Cade, how you doing, my man?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys having us on today.
I'm excited, actually. I found out you were coming on. Of course, much like all guys who are middle aged, like I am now. We think back, like I used to be pretty good at baseball. I know how to hit a baseball, and I thought this will be fun to talk to Cade. So, Cade, we're interested to learn more about DBAT and what you got going on in the world of franchising. So maybe just start there. Tell us just a little bit about DBAT, maybe about how you got started and why somebody like me who still thinks they can swing a baseball bat would be excited to talk to you.
Yeah, sure. So my brother and I opened up the first location in 1998 in Addison, Texas. And DBAT, a lot of people don't know this, but DBAT stands for Developing Beliefs, Attitudes, and Traditions. And we ran the single location in Addison for about 12 years before we started realizing, hey, we wanted to expand. We didn't really know how we were going to expand. And we looked at a couple different options. Obviously, franchising, we felt, was the fastest way to expand the brand. And we filed for our FDD around late 2008, opened up our first franchise in 2009. So we've been franchising now for around 12 years. And we currently have 135 locations in the United States and 6 in China. And we're expanding this year to Canada.
Outstanding, man. Congratulations. That's such a cool starting point, obviously, because you guys not only did you get into something, what it sounds like to me that you obviously liked, which is sports related, baseball related, something but you kind of coupled that with what sounds like some passion that you have too, a little bit of belief system you have, and something that when we've talked to franchisors in the past that have gotten their brand off the ground kind of themselves. And a lot of it really starts with that passion point, and maybe talk about how important that kind of that passion point and having a real mission to what you all are doing has propelled some of your success.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm in kind of the heartstring business, I tell people, but I had a passion for baseball. I played, obviously growing up, and then went on and played in college, and then got to play professionally. My brother, however, did not play baseball. He was a football player, but he was also kind of the retail brains behind the operation. And I was watching Shark Tank, one of my favorite shows. I'm sure it's a lot of people's favorite shows that listen to your show. But a guy came on one episode, and I believe he was like trying to franchise a cupcake business or something like that. And I remember Mark Cuban asked him, he said, well, how is the main store doing, the first store? How's your store doing? What's the numbers on your store? And he said, well, I haven't opened up the store yet. He said, you haven't opened the concept up yet? And he said, no. And he said, I'm out. He said, I don't think you should ever franchise something that you haven't been in the trenches and ran yourself. And my brother and I, like I said, we ran it for 12 years before we ever expanded to even a second location. So I feel like we have a doctorate's degree in how to run a baseball and softball academy. And like I tell people too that you don't buy a franchise to hear about all the great things that we've done, that we did over the 12 years. You buy a franchise to hear about the things that we screwed up on and we failed on, and hopefully you don't repeat those things. And we've had a lot of great successes, but we also made some mistakes along the way, and we ironed those out over the 12 years. And I felt like we had a well-oiled machine by the time we started franchising.
That's awesome. And a lot of times people don't, sometimes you can look at a franchise system and not understand that this business was started by entrepreneurs and somebody with a vision and somebody who thought, hey, I'm going to go out and do this. And almost all companies start off with some failures and they start off with some challenges along the way. What have you seen as being kind of like maybe like one of the main challenges that you saw, not necessarily when you were just starting with your single location, but what about maybe some of the challenges you saw when you started getting into the world of franchising and how you've now since, as you've been doing this for a while, really learned and started to understand, okay, those challenges with those first maybe, 5 to 25 locations aren't what we're experiencing now, but boy, those were rough. And I'm glad we learned a few of those lessons that we're overcoming now.
That's a great question. I think it has a lot to do with what you mentioned earlier is picking the right franchisee, making sure that there's a passion there, but also that they're not running this business as a hobby. And, I'm not bashing on baseball players, but one of the things we found out early is the baseball player, the ex-baseball player is really not the best operator for us. Most of our operators, we have about 225 owners. They're very successful entrepreneurs themselves. They're ex CPAs and CEOs of companies, and those guys and ladies make the best franchisees for us. And that was something that we learned early on, because of course we got contacted by a lot of ex players that weren't playing anymore that wanted to continue their passion, and a lot of dads that had enough money that they had a 20-something-year-old son they wanted to set up in a business. And like I said before, you can't run this as a hobby. This is a business, and you have to treat it like a business, even though it's a fun business. But it's definitely something you can't just throw your money at and sit back and collect mailbox money.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, your passion for success has to be shared, at the franchisee level. And really, we talk about this a lot when we're speaking to guests here, and one of the reasons we talk about it a lot is because it's a linchpin to success, and that is that the culture that defines, that first location, and then the culture that defines the franchisor and their value system, that pushes down. It pushes all the way down, not just to the franchisee, but the franchisee has to push that all the way down to their staff members and employees, and then that's felt by the consumer, which helps the business grow. So if you had to kind of sum up some of the culture, for DBAT, what would you say is some of the ideals you guys have that you see pushes down that the customer then truly experiences and feels, and therefore kind of makes you guys successful?
I'll tell you this. I believe our company DBAT has one of the best cultures as far as company-wide that you could possibly ask for. I have the greatest ownership group that a franchisor could ask for. I've made a couple mistakes in the past with picking the wrong group or whatever, but in a whole, I don't get a handshake from my franchisees. I get the man hug most of the time. And the culture is.
That's what Katie and I do that to each other every day. We start our day with a man hug, just the two of us.
Right.
Off we go.
Yeah.
But the culture is real laid back. Of course, people are a lot happier when they're making money, and and so our business is very manager driven. Our best owners, most of we have this kind of hard to believe, but we only have 2 majority owner operators. So most of our owners they have a career, they have a business, but the really good ones still have their thumb on the pulse, and they're watching, and they have a weekly Zoom call with their GMs and assistant GMs, and quarterly meetings. So that's one thing I would say about our owners is just they're a lot smarter than I am, we started this company off saying we were going to be really picky about who we pick. My original idea was I was going to open 6 a year. Of course, in 2018, I think we did 30 locations, blew that out of the water. But in our growth, the last 3 or 4 years has been incredible. But our growth also looks better on paper. Most of our growth has been internal growth, where our original franchisees are now opening up their second, third, or fourth, fifth locations. And that growth, I don't want to pretend that it's real easy, but it's much easier than opening up a new franchisee that we have to train, that doesn't understand the construction phase and all that. As far as our corporate culture, I've got a great team here. And you can't do it without a team. And I was a catcher, so I use catching a lot. My team is a lot smarter than I am, and I will tell any CEO of a company, if you're sitting in a room and you're the smartest person, you need to get a bigger room, because that's not going to be a productive meeting. And I've got computer guys here, computer science degrees and marketing degrees, digital marketing degrees, people in our office, and I'm actually allergic to the computer, so those team members really make the engine run. And I just try to be a strong leader. If a leader leaves at 5 p.m., then everybody else is going to leave at 5 p.m. So I make sure I'm about 90% of the time I'm the last one to set the alarm at the corporate office. So I just try to set an example. I am a believer in the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I try to set an example with that. And you show me a strong brand and a strong company, and I'll show you there's a very strong CEO behind that brand and company. Very rarely can you find a weak CEO or leader behind a strong brand in any brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So, it's interesting. You mentioned a few things there that I thought was cool. One, kind of, the way that, the owners for your brand have a little bit of flexibility. It seems like, I mean, they're still on it. It's not a hobby. It's what they want to do, but a little bit of flexibility, which is interesting. And then, you all kind of paying attention, at the franchisor level to really, really emphasizing and building up the team there to be successful, making sure that they not only are surrounding yourself with good people, but allowing them to be good and allowing them to perform, which is in turn going to help your franchisees. So let's switch gears just a minute then and talk about attracting new franchisees. So we've got the ones you have now, they're building new ones. They like it. They got a little flexibility. You got, your corporate culture set. Everybody's humming along. Now we talk about, exposing yourself to bringing on new folks and expanding. What goals do you have toward expansion? And what are some, besides maybe a little bit of that flexibility I talked about, what are some other things maybe with like your unit economics or with, capability for buying multiple regions, whatever it may be, that kind of might attract some new franchisees to DBAT?
So I do want to touch on one thing you said. You nailed something. Our franchisees do have a ton of flexibility. That goes back to what I said earlier. I truly believe my franchisees are a lot smarter than I am, and I have to trust a lot of times what those guys do, and we allow them to be entrepreneurial. Again, these our franchisees are a very successful group of people, and I'm not a micromanager. Matter of fact, I am the opposite of a micromanager. I cannot stand to micromanage. I just won't do it. And we set up our royalties in a totally different way than literally 99% of the franchise world. Matter of fact, I set it up so differently. My original FDD was denied, and I had to write a letter and explain why I was doing it the way I was doing it. And it was because I did not want to micromanage my franchisees. Whereas, as you know, most franchises take a percentage royalty off gross sales. We decided not to do that. I felt like there was a little bit of a broken system sometimes in franchising, where if you don't allow your franchisees to be profitable, it's going to be short lived. If they're not profitable and they're not having a good time, you're not going to have new franchisees, because the first thing they do is they call the current franchisees and they ask, hey, what kind of person is Cade and what kind of company is DBAT? And are you making any money? And so what we decided to do was we actually take a percentage of memberships only. We manage the memberships of each location here at our corporate office. And there's a little bit of reverse psychology behind it, but we actually send our franchisees a check, or we wire them money, not really a check anymore, but we wire them their money on the second of every month. So once a franchisee opens up, he never writes DBAT another check. What that does is there's no secrets with us. We have a meeting every year with our owners and GMs, a big meeting. I had over 500 people this year. And we give away an award for all of our 6 main revenue streams. We also give away an award we call the Entrepreneur Award. And it's a revenue stream that an owner invented himself, didn't get it from us. And he's done well in it. And all we ask is share it with everybody else, because maybe it works at other locations. And what I mean by there's no secrets is our franchisees aren't walking around our annual meeting whispering, hey, don't tell Kay, don't tell Cal, but we killed it in this, we killed it in that. I don't get anything from it anyway. So I'll high five you if you made an extra, $100,000 on something that you created within the business. Then I'm going to high five you. I'm not going to be upset that I don't get 6-8% royalties on it. So by allowing our franchisees to be entrepreneurial and us be flexible, is allowed them to be profitable. And it's also allowed the culture, back to the culture, but it's allowed the culture of our owners. They all talk. We have a Facebook page, a private Facebook page that our GMs and our owners are on there, and they post 40, 50 questions a day. Hey, has anybody tried this? Has anybody tried this? It really is. And our owners have coined this. We didn't coin it. They call it the DBAT family. So that if there's a new owner at the meeting, they'll say, hey, welcome to the family. And we love it. We use it all the time. So I wanted to touch on that because you did mention the flexibility of DBAT. How are we attracting new franchisees? I'm going to be honest with you, Trevor. We have never marketed this. We've never been on Franchise Gator or those lead generator things. We've never spent $1. We're not really sure how we get so many inquiries. We get so many that we can't honestly contact them all. We run about 2 presentation meetings here in Dallas a month. We just expanded our training room so we can sit about 35 people. And I think our next 6 presentations are booked solid. You can't get in unless someone cancels. So I don't know how to say it without sounding like it's a cocky statement, but we
do
we
it.
are slammed.
Be cocky.
We are slammed.
I love it. It's not cocky, just be proud. That's outstanding. I mean, that's just awesome.
And one thing we hang our hat on too is I just had a magazine reporter do an interview, and we hang our hat on. To our knowledge, we're the only franchise that's been franchising over a decade that's never had a closure. And that's huge for us.
Cool.
And matter of fact, we not only not had a closure, we went through 2 recessions during that time. And I'm not by any means saying we're recession proof, but I do tell our potential new franchisees that we don't go around bragging about it either, but we actually have gone up during both recessions. And I believe the reason for that is, again, we're in the heartstring business. And I don't know, Trevor or Katie, I don't know if you're parents.
We are.
Okay, you are.
Yep.
So when times are bad in your house, Trevor, you stop the Starbucks coffee maybe, or you stop going to the movies, maybe cut the vacation out. But the minute you cut the kids' tutor out, things are really bad in the house, right? And I mean, that's the sign of things are tough when you stop paying for your kids to excel in whatever they want to excel in. And what we found out a lot of times is when Trevor did stop paying for the kids' tutor in his house, Grandma and Grandpa stepped right in. It was crazy in 2008 how many phone calls we got from grandparents going, hey, my son's credit card's on file for my grandson's lessons. Take his off and put mine on. It was nuts. But so I do think that I'm not saying we're recession proof, but I am saying that once you stop paying for your kids' tutor, I guess, or help, we got other problems to worry about.
Yeah.
Man, what a cool just, run you had there, because it's rare that you can, well, I wouldn't say rare. I've never heard anybody with the model you've got. So very unique in terms of your unit economics and what you do with your franchisees. I'm sure that's very attractive to a lot of people who are not only interested in what you guys do, but the business side. But I've certainly never heard anybody who's just getting the phone ringing off the hook for new franchisees. I mean, maybe if I don't know, maybe if you're Starbucks or Subway or something like that, but folks who are more in your space of the, call it 0 to 1,000 locations. Pretty rare to hear that they're just growing organically like that. Congratulations, it's awesome.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We're amazed by it too. Like I said, I'm every morning when I come in, I'm the one that gets all the inquiries, and I dish them out to our 5 or 6 kind of sales guys in the office, and I will say, I get 10 or 12 a day that we can't do a location in that area because it's too close to a current location or whatever. I think I got 4 today from Nashville, and we're completely sold out in Nashville. So
that was all Katie.
So there are a lot of the ones that come through. We still thank them for inquiring and for their interest, but we're getting to the point now where I would say about 60% or so are good leads, and the other 40 we just can't do. Again, we're not a sandwich shop or a gas station, so not everybody wants to do this. There's a certain group of people that have the passion for kids sports and stuff that want to do this, and if you're in the baseball and softball world in the United States, you probably know who we are. Just through either our sporting goods company that we have that's separate, or our academies now. So,
and kids who have graduated from your academies have gone on to what type of success?
Well, we've had quite a few, especially our original location. I mean, I remember Clayton Kershaw, little set, chunky little 8-year-old. Doing hitting lessons and pitching lessons in the original location. I've known him since he was obviously a little kid. I know his family, his mom. He's a great guy. And Kyler Murray literally ran around in diapers in the first DBAT with his older brother KJ doing lessons. And then when Kyler got old enough to do lessons, he started doing lessons. And Pat Mahomes, Max Muncy. We've had a lot of guys grow up coming through DBAT. And matter of fact, the MLB PA reached out to me about 2 months ago. As you know, the MLB's in kind of in strike right now. And they reached out to me and asked if we would do something for the players because they were locked out of the stadiums. They weren't allowed to work out in the stadiums. So we gave and we did this during COVID with the minor leaguers, and that's how they knew about it. And they appreciated that we did it. We knew the minor leaguers weren't getting paid during COVID and not getting to play. So we gave every minor leaguer a free year membership to come in and work out for free at any DBAT location they wanted to. The MLB Players Association appreciated that we did that and called us, and now we're doing it for all the major leaguers. And like literally just yesterday, I had like 15 photos of, Zach Greinke in our Lexington location, and Pujols was in Kansas City location. Just, tons of big leaguers are now using our facility. And the other reason I wanted to do that is when little kids see, they see Zach Greinke or in our location or Pujols hitting in our location, they think, wow, this must be the place to be. This is the place we should work out. And so it does. It's a good little marketing behind the scenes. It didn't really cost us much.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'll show up at one of the locations where those kids get a hold of me, hitting a few dingers out of the park. It'll be, that's it. Game over.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier you like to hit, and I tell people this too, that baseball is the hardest sport to give up. And everybody talks about we have a lot of kids come through DBAT. You would not believe how many men's league baseball players and women co-ed softball players that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. It's become a huge part of our business. I would say in the early or the late 90s, it was maybe 5% of our business. Now it's around probably 25% of our business is adult league softball and baseball. So you wouldn't be embarrassed at all. You'd probably come in there and take a few hacks too.
Well, I am an old hack, but maybe I'd try. Cade, this has been incredible information. Anything you want to leave us with kind of before we wrap up?
Ooh, put me on the spot on that one.
Broad question, open-ended.
No, I would leave you with, like you mentioned it earlier, anyone out there looking to do a franchise, I think it's really important that it's something that you're passionate about. It's don't ever do a franchise business as a hobby. Now you can make your passion or your hobby into a business, but you still got to work at it. And it's important to understand that as a franchisee, that if you're treating your business like a hobby, you're hurting the other franchisee that's closest to you, your neighbor, and that he's not treating it like a hobby. He could be this is his income, this is his livelihood. So and same thing to franchisors that are out there. Franchisors, just because somebody has the money to open up one of your locations, you got to be willing to say no sometimes, and we say no a lot more than we say yes here.
Outstanding advice. I agree with that across all business fronts, and in particular in the franchise world. You got to get people who really want to grow. They want to succeed. They're an extension of your business. They're representing the brand out there in the field.
Yep.
And if they don't want to go and go hard and succeed, it's going to bring the rest of the people down.
That's right.
So couldn't agree more with that statement. Absolutely correct. Katie and I's day, it has been made because we've been talking to Cade. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, if there's a DBAT location close to you and you've got kids, or if you're an old hack like me and you just want to go take a few things yourself, I strongly encourage you to check it out. Cade, thank you so much for being on FranchisOR Bust. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Katie.
Come on.